Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes po.
Okay, so I'm going to start already. Thank you. All right. So these are the learning outcomes for today. We're going to study the layers and parts of the male reproductive tract. Then we're also going to describe what we call your accessory glands. Also your so-called blood testis barrier. We're not anymore going to describe your cell cycle. Instead, we're going to describe the events of your spermatogenesis, and hopefully, kung may time pa tayo, we can finish up to your common clinical conditions. Okay? So to start off, let me just enumerate first to you what are the organs we're going to talk of today. Ay, sandali lang, hello, ba't ako? Okay. So firstly, we're going to talk about your testes, which are the ones that will produce your sex cells. And of course, your hormone, what we call your testosterone. Now, we also will speak about the penis, which is the organ of copulation. Then the genital ducts, which collect, store, and conduct, of course, your sperm cells from the testes and onwards. Then you have your accessory glands, which of course secrete your seminal fluid. Now we'll talk about the accessory glands in the next slide. Okay. So firstly, look at your ducts. These are your ducts. We can divide them into your intratesticular and your extratesticular ducts. No? So for the intratesticular ducts, you have your seminiferous tubules, your tubuli recti, your retetestis, ductuli efferentis, ductuli epididymis. Now, part of the epididymis, no, the ductus epididymis is also already extratesticular. No? So yung epididymis mo, note there is an intratesticular part and an extratesticular part. No? Then followed by your ductus deferens. And lastly, as to the ducts, you have your ejaculatory duct. Now, these are your accessory organs. Your prostate glands, seminal vesicles, the cowpers or bulbourethral glands, and lastly, we already pointed this out before in the urethra, your glands of litter. Okay. Now, this is a picture of how the male reproductive tract goes. First, you have your testes over here, which will eventually continue into your epididymis here and then into your vas deferens. So from the vas deferens will then end up into your ejaculatory duct and then passing into your urethra until it is discharged outside through your external urethral meatus. Okay, so these are the passageways for your sperm cells. Okay, so let's look first at the covering of the testes, no? So it is noted that the testes are a pair of ovoid organs that lie within your scrotum and is covered by a capsule made up of 3 layers. The outermost is what we call the tunica vaginalis, which is actually a part of your peritoneum, no? What we call your processus vaginalis. Then the next layer is your tunica albuginea, which is dense fibrous tissue. And the innermost layer is tunica vasculosa, which is vascular. Okay. So this is a picture of your capsule. Briefly, we did not anymore include your vaginalis. Instead, we're already into your albuginea. Now, it is noted here that the albuginea is thickened posteriorly to form what we call your mediastinum testis, no? Such that the thickness sends forth septae or dividers into your seminiferous, into your testis, dividing the testis into lobules, no? So there are around 250 lobules, no, divided, no, by your tunica albuginea. And of course, the innermost layer, as we noted, is your tunica vasculosa. As you can see here, it's quite vascular. No? And of course, the lobules contain what we call your seminiferous tubules. So these are, no, these round structures are your seminiferous tubules. Okay. Now, each lobule, so if you look at this, this is the septation that we produce from your tunica albuginea. So each lobule, so let's look at this, for example, may contain around 1 to 4 seminiferous tubules. 1 to 4 lang yan, no? Kasi they were, during the cutting, each tubule may have been cut several times, no? So ayan po. So around 1 to 4 seminiferous tubules with a diameter of 150 to 250 micra and a length of 30 to 70 centimeter. And each tubule produces 2 to 10 to the 8, no, sperms per day. Ayun. So the connective tissue stroma, let us just mention at this point. So ito po yun, no? Which is found, of course, in between your seminiferous tubules. Okay. This is what we call your interstitial tissue that contains what we call your Leydig cells. So these are your Leydig cells, which we previously saw as very large reddish cells. No? So these cells are actually the ones that will produce your testosterone. And this, of course, going to be discussed again in your endocrine system. Okay, so yan po ha, this will be your testosterone producing cells. Okay, so let's look now at your seminiferous tubule. The seminiferous tubule is lined by what we call your seminiferous epithelium, where you find your germinal cells or spermatogenic cells. No? So as such, we can describe the epithelium as stratified. And this stratified epithelium rests on a thin basement membrane here, no? Where you may find these flattened cells, what we call your myoid cells, which are muscle-like in nature. No? In fact, they allow weak contractions of your seminiferous tubule. Now, there are two basic cell types in your seminiferous epithelium. The first ones are these cells, what we call your spermatogenic cells. So these ones, no, are your spermatogenic cells. And again, these large ones, what we call your Sertoli or sustentacular cells. Now, what I'd like to point out, no, note that your sustentacular cells extend from the basement up to your lumen. No? So, ganun po sila kahaba. Look at that. So, let's move on and look at your spermatogenic cells. These are your spermatogenic cells. You have your spermatogonia A and B, your primary spermatocyte and secondary spermatocyte. Then we have your spermatid, your spermatozoon, or your sperm cell. Now, again, we make mention that the Sertoli cells are described as tall, columnar, or pyramidal epithelial cells, where the clue, if you look at them histologically, will be their pyramidal-like nucleus. No? So, ang nucleus po nila ang clue that you are looking at your Sertoli cell, because the spermatogenic cells usually have a round nucleus, whereas this one has a pyramidal or triangular, no, nucleus. Okay. So let's look at the first type of cell, which is the most immature. We call this the spermatogonia. So these are usually found at the base, next to the basement membrane. So this one's here, no, just next to the basement membrane are your spermatogonia. Again, we said there are two types. You have your type A and type B. The type A are your stem cells, no? Meaning they are the cells that will divide by mitosis to form new stem cells, or what we call your committed cells. No? The committed cells now are what we refer to as your spermatogonia B. Yun. So then you have your spermatogonia B. So anyway, we're not going to differentiate them anymore because it's actually difficult to differentiate them under the microscope. No? We just note that the cell nearest the basement membrane are your spermatogonia. No? Never mind whether they're the A or the B, you just say spermatogonia. Okay. Then after the spermatogonia, you have your primary spermatocyte, which are the largest cell in the series. No? So ito po sila. No? Now, the clue that you are looking at your primary spermatocyte is the nucleus. You will find in the nucleus your mitotically active chromatin strands. No? So magulo po ang itsura sa nucleus, no? Kasi kita mo ang strands here. No? Plenty chromatin strands in their nucleus. That will be your primary spermatocyte. Now, the next cell is your secondary spermatocyte, which is actually smaller than the primary, although it is difficult to catch your secondary spermatocyte. Meaning, if you look at your histological slide, you'll not be able to identify this. Why so? Because they rapidly undergo the second meiotic division to become what we call your spermatid. So in other words, from the primary spermatocyte, the next cell that you already identify will be your spermatids. Ayun, no? So let's look at your spermatid. So the spermatid now, since it has undergone your meiosis, will now be having your 23 chromosomes. So haploid na sila, no? Or what we call 1N. And usually, if you look for your spermatids, they are usually already near the lumen. Okay. Now, we usually these will eventually differentiate. Now, your spermatids will eventually differentiate into your spermatozoa in the process called spermiogenesis. And that is why the next thing we'll do will be to look at the process of spermiogenesis. Note there are 4 phases in your spermiogenesis. The first one is what we call your Golgi phase. No? So if you look at the picture, note that the Golgi apparatus, no, will form what we call the acrosomal cap, which will be eventually found, of course, as I said, on one end of the nucleus. On the other end of the nucleus, your centrioles will be migrating, and these centrioles will now form the basal body that will eventually become the axoneme of your flagellum. So, meaning, therefore, you'll now have polarization here, no, in your cell. One end, you have your acrosomal cap. On the other hand, you have your centrioles eventually forming your flagellum. Okay, so that will be what we call your Golgi phase. Now, the next phase is what we call the cap phase. So if you look at this, note that your acrosomal cap has now spread over 1/2 of the nucleus, no? And it is noted that your acrosomal cap is actually an acrosome or a lysosome, which contains hydrolytic enzymes, mainly in the form of hyaluronidase and acrosin. So what does these two enzymes do? They actually cause the dissociation of your corona radiata and the digestion of your zona pellucida. No, this is of course occurring as the what we call the acrosomal reaction, one of the first steps in fertilization. So this, in other words, this function already occurs during the process of fertilization. Don't forget, again, you have here the formation of your acrosomal cup, where your acrosomal cup contains your enzymes, hyaluronidase and acrosin, which will dissolve or dissociate your corona radiata and digest your zona pellucida. Okay. Again, the steps that will initiate fertilization. Now, the third phase is your acrosome phase. No? So here you will note that your acrosome, no, has already attached, no, to the head of your nucleus, and that your nucleus is already elongated, no, has elongated. Aside from that, you will note naman on the other end, no, your growing axoneme, which already will be protruding into the lumen, I should say, of your seminiferous tubule. No? So ayan po, elongated na yung ating flagellum. Okay. Another thing that you will note here will be the formation of what we call your middle piece, which is mainly made up of mitochondria. And of course, when we say mitochondria, they produce what we call your ATP, which is most important for your flagellar movement. Ayun, no? So what are the things that we saw? You have your acrosome attached to your nucleus, and that the nucleus now has elongated. On the other end is your flagellum, also has elongated, no, towards the lumen of your seminiferous tubule, and near the proximal end of your flagellum, you find the formation of what we call the middle piece, which is made up of mitochondria, which of course forms the ATP for your flagellar movement. The last phase is what we call the maturation phase. No? So here, the cytoplasm that are in exist will become, will be shed off as what we call residual bodies. Ito po yan, no? Nasi-shed off na. And these residual bodies will eventually be phagocytosed by your Sertoli cells. Now, aside from that, no, at this point, once your residual cells have been extruded, no, or shed off, we'll now have a fully formed, but note anatomically lang, anatomically fully formed spermatozoa, but not yet physiologically capable. Ayan nga, nakalagay, not yet functional, but only anatomically fully formed. Ayan. So that is what we call what will happen, I should say, in your maturation phase. Maturation in that sense that it is mature anatomically, but not physiologically. Yun, let us just emphasize that point. Now, let's look at your sperm cell. Your mature sperm cell is supposed to be actively motile, freely swimming, and it's made up of several parts. The first portion will be your head and your neck. Then you have your middle piece. So this one is the middle piece. And the last part will be your tail, made up of the principal piece and of course the end piece here. Ayun. So again, don't forget that the sperm cell is still quiescent, meaning not yet physiologically mature. when you are still in the seminiferous tubule and in the ducts of the testes. No? So here again, this stage is still anatomically mature but physiologically not yet capable. Ayan. Now, let's review the process in spermatogenesis. Don't forget, this only begins at puberty. Ha? Ang baby hindi pa capable. Ha? So the process of where your spermatogonium eventually becomes your spermatozoa takes around 74 days. No? Where the first phase is your spermatogonial phase, meaning your stem cell or your spermatogonium A will divide by mitosis to produce a new population of stem cells or will divide into your committed spermatogonium or your spermatogonia B. So again, don't forget, this process here is still by mitosis. And then we have the formation already of your spermatocyte phase, where your primary spermatocytes eventually undergo meiosis, no? Where your chromosomes will be reduced to half. And then lastly, you have your spermatid phase, where your spermatid will undergo spermiogenesis to become your spermatozoa. Ayun. So these are the three phases of spermatogenesis. All right. Now, these are the numbers of your chromosomes. Note that from spermatogonia to primary spermatocyte, your chromosomal number is still 44XY, or total 46, or we may simply say 2N. Ayun. Then from your secondary spermatocyte, where we already underwent meiosis from your primary spermatocyte, will now have your secondary spermatid and your sperm cell, which are all numbered haploid. Or 22X or 22Y. Ayun ha, hindi pwedeng 22XY kasi magiging 23 po yun. Okay, so when we say we are in these stages of your sperm cell, they are all haploid or 1N. Ayun, ha, don't forget that. Now let's look at your Sertoli cell. Any questions regarding your spermatogenic cells?
Wala po.
Wala po. O sige, thank you po. Let's move on and look at your Sertoli cell. So there are three general functions attributed to your Sertoli cells. For one, they are the supporting cells. They protect and nourish your spermatogenic cells. Second, they have exocrine and endocrine secretion. Firstly, it can secrete the fluid for sperm transport. So ito po is exocrine function. Ano? As also, it produces the nutrients that will, of course, supply your spermatogenic cells. Now, these are now your endocrine secretions. No? First, you have your androgen binding protein, which concentrates the testosterone for spermiogenesis. Then you have your inhibin, which is suppress FSH synthesis and release by the anterior pituitary. And lastly, you have your Mullerian inhibiting substance, which of course causes the regression of the Mullerian ducts. Lastly, of course, again, just to reiterate, it can phagocytose the residual bodies during spermiogenesis. Okay, so don't forget, these are the three general functions of your Sertoli cells. Now, aside from this, Your Sertoli cells are involved in what we call your blood-testis barrier. I told you previously that your Sertoli cells extend from the basement up to the lumen, no? And the Sertoli cells are connected to one another. So these ones are described as the connection by tight occluding junctions. Now we'll show you another slide in a little while. Anyway, these tight occluding junctions will now divide our seminiferous tubule into a basal compartment. So this one will be the basal compartment, tong orange part. And the bluish part will be your adluminal compartment. This, therefore, yung tight occluding junctions will now form what we call a physical barrier, no? Forming again your blood tissue barrier, which will prevent autoimmune attack against your spermatogenic cells, no? Specifically the ones in the adluminal compartment. And therefore, the developing cells are in a very protective environment. Let's look at another view of this. Here, this one. Your Sertoli cells occur one after the other. No? Nakapaligid po sila doon sa seminiferous tubule. And as I said, they are attached to one another by these tight occluding junctions, such that your seminiferous tubule is divided into a basal compartment here and an adluminal compartment here. Again, don't forget, this tight occluding junction will now form your blood-testis barrier, such that your adluminal portion is protected against autoimmune attacks. And therefore, the only cell that will be at risk by your autoimmune attacks will be the cells remaining in your basal compartment, which are your spermatogonia. Ayun. So yan po ang picture in a diagrammatical form of your blood-testis barrier. Okay. Now, let's go look at your intertesticular ducts. The first one will be your tubuli recti. No? Ito po, yan, the straight tubules, very short. No? Which will be where you will find that the epithelium, you'll have a gradual loss of your spermatogenic cells. The initial segment will actually be made up. Ito po yan. Look at this. This is your seminiferous tubule. Eventually going into your tubuli recti, where the initial segment is actually made up of your Sertoli cells, but eventually it becomes simple cuboidal epithelium. Okay? So that is actually the lining of your tubuli recti. Now, next to the tubuli recti is your retetestis. So this one here is the retetestis, which is a network of passageways. No? And again, this is still lined, as you can see in the picture, by your simple cuboidal epithelium. Now, both the retetestis and the tubuli recti are embedded in this portion, what we call the mediastinum testis. Okay. Then next is your ductuli efferentis. So this one here. Now this one has a unique characteristic. If you look at the line epithelium, it's made up of alternating columnar, no? Simple columnar ciliated cells and simple cuboidal non-ciliated cells. So ito po yan, no? These are the non-ciliated cuboidal cells, whereas this one is the columnar ciliated cell, no? Giving the the tubule a festooned or scalloped appearance. So yun po ang uniqueness nitong ductuli efferentis. Now also you may begin to see already surrounding the tubule no, smooth muscles which are therefore useful for transporting your spermatozoa to the next tubule, which is your epididymis. This one, this is already your epididymis. Okay, now let's move on and look at your epididymis, which is usually as a tight structure is described as crescent shape, but this is actually a tightly coiled tube such that if you unwind it, it is approximately 6 meters long. Ayan, no? Haba pala nito. Okay. It is divided as a crescent-shaped structure into 3 parts. Firstly, you have the head, then the body, and lastly, of course, have the tail. Ayun. Now, what is important? Hello? Sorry po. Wait lang.
Doc, ano po need niyo po?
Anong LT Matthews? Leona. Bakit?
Do you need help po?
Yeah, I don't know where you are.
Hindi niyo po makita yung kami po?
Ay, ito na pala. Okay, it's okay. Ito na
Okay.
ulit. Sorry. Okay. Dito na tayo, di ba? Tama ba?
Yes po.
Okay. So again, just to repeat, no? Sorry ha, kasi naputol yung aking wifi eh. Okay. So the epididymis is divided into a head, a body, and a tail. But what's important in the epididymis is that this is where we have competence for forward motility. Ibig sabihin, pwede na siyang gumalaw mag-isa niya to go forward. Aside from that, you have the final modifications for the acrosome. And lastly, this is where we have what we call physiological maturation or what we call capacitation. Meaning, your sperm cell now is capable of fertilizing an ovum. Ayun. So again, don't forget all of these things occurred in your epididymis. So the epididymis is very important, no? Now, let's just look at the histological picture of your epididymis. For one, it is lined by pseudostratified columnar epithelium with stereocilia. Yun po ang uniqueness niya, ha? And the cells, you have the main or principal cells, and at the base, you have this basal stem cells. Ayun po yung maliliit na yon, ha? Then you have, again, you have the smooth muscle, which forms your supporting tissue, which are again divided into your inner and outer longitudinal layers, no? Especially near the tail. Ayun. Now, what else? Now, let's move on from the epididymis. We go to your ductus deferens, which is the direct continuation of your epididymis. Now, this one has a very narrow lumen. So, ayan agad na makikita nyo histologically. But you have a very wide wall where you have, no, the line epithelium still is pseudostratified columnar, but with sparse stereocilia. Now, the tunica muscularis, on the other hand, is divided into 3 sublayers. You have inner longitudinal, middle circular, and outer longitudinal. Lastly, note that the ductus deferens is distally dilated, what we call the ampulla of the vas deferens. And this ampulla of the vas deferens will eventually unite with the duct of the seminal vesicle to form what we call the ejaculatory duct. Okay, so let's look at this next picture. This is actually sagittal view. This is behind your urinary bladder. You will see here, this lobulated organ is actually your seminal vesicle. On the other side, no, of the seminal vesicle is your ampulla of the vas deferens. And these two will unite, as noted, to form this duct, what we call the ejaculatory duct. Now, what is unique about the ejaculatory duct is that it is lined by pseudostratified and simple columnar epithelium. And again, take note that this one will eventually drain here into your prostatic urethra. Ayun, no? So yun po ha, unique po yung lying epithelium natin ha. It's pseudostratified and simple columnar epithelium. So at this point, let us just make a break and look at the chart, you know, where you find here the difference between all your tubules. So don't forget your seminiferous, tubuli recti, retitestis are all found, no, at this point within your scrotum, where your seminiferous tubules produce your sperm. Your tubulorecti and retitestis will eventually convey your sperm cells into the next tubule, which is of course your efferentist ductule. No? Now, again, don't forget that from the efferentist, no, ductally efferentist, no, will eventually reach your epididymis, no, where you have your final physiological maturation of your sperm cell. So, ay, nako po. And then you get to your ductus deferens, where your sperm cells are eventually conveyed to your ejaculatory duct. So yun lang po yung gusto ko malaman ninyo regarding the passage. No? Don't forget, ito po, as enumerated, will be the passage of your sperm cells in series. Now, one after the other, this is where your sperm cells will be eventually passing through. Don't forget the line epithelium and don't forget their functions. Ayan, naka-chart na. Okay? So again, let's move on and look at your accessory glands. The first one we'll look into will be your seminal vesicle. Now this one, the seminal vesicle, if you look in the picture here, is described as having a complex tubular folds. No? In fact, before we usually describe this folds as primary, secondary, and tertiary kasi from the basement, magpo-fold, tapos mag-fold ulit, and then finally, meron pangatlong folding. No? Anyway, we also have here, don't forget, the line epithelium is still simple or pseudostratified columnar epithelium. Your tunica muscularis is icol. And what is most important is that this contributes 70% of your ejaculate. And that the ejaculate from the seminal vesicle contains, most importantly, fructose, which is the major energy source for the sperm cell. It also contains prostaglandin, which can stimulate your female reproductive tract, your fibrinogen, which can eventually cause the coagulation of your semen, also contains citrate and inositol. Lastly, this is true for all the accessory glands. They are all dependent on testosterone. No? Ang function ng ating accessory glands depends on testosterone. Now, for the prostate gland, note that this is made up of 30 to 50 tubuloacinar glands in a fibromuscular stroma. And there are glands here divided into 3 major zones. So the inner zone is what we call transition zone, which makes up 5% of the prostatic volume. And the glands that you find here are your mucosal glands. Next to that, itong yellow part, is your central zone, which makes up 25% of your glandular tissue. And the glands here are your submucosal glands. So please note, And lastly, of course, at the outer portion or the peripheral zone, which makes up 70% of your glandular tissue. These are your main glands with longer ducts. Ayan, you can see, sa picture, pinaportray po yung glands natin. And of course, you see here the length of their ducts. Okay. Now, what else? The line epithelium is usually simple or pseudostratified columnar, and the secretion contains acid phosphatase, citric acid amylase, and most importantly, what we call your prostate-specific antigen or PSA. Now, this PSA becomes significant, especially when your male complains of urinary obstruction, which may be due to glandular mucosal carcinoma or inflammation. Yun po ang possible causes of your elevated PSA. Ayun. One other thing that you will find here in the prostate will be this round concretions, what we call your prostatic concretion or your corpora amylacea. So these are usually partially calcified concretions containing glycoproteins and keratan sulfate. They usually become numerous with age, but they are not clinically significant. No, wala pong physiologic significance ang mga concretions na ito. Again, don't forget, the function is dependent on testosterone. Now, the last gland that you'd like to note is your bulbourethral or Cowper's glands, which is a pair of very small, round, compound, tubulo-alveolar glands located in what we call the urogenital diaphragm. Ito po, this area is what we call the urogenital diaphragm. No? It's usually surrounded by smooth muscle. So ayan po, no? You find smooth muscle here. Again, if you look at the lining epithelium of this gland, it's made up of simple columnar epithelium. The secretion is clear mucus-like. No? This secretion coats and lubricates the urethra for the imminent passage of your sperms. Kasi, you know, your urethra is usually wet with urine, no? Which is, of course, acidic. And an acidic environment is not good for your sperm cells. This can cause the death of your sperm cells. And that is why we have to neutralize, no, your urethra for the passage of your sperm cells. Okay. Now, lastly, we have the penis. As we said, it's made up of 3 erectile tissues. You have the dorsal corpora cavernosa, again, this one. And you have the ventrally located corpus spongiosum, where you find within, ayan po, inside, your penile urethra. Now, these 3 are bound together, again, by what we call your tunica albuginea. Now, this is a picture of your urethra, specifically located in the penis. This is lined by pseudostratified columnar epithelium. And again, don't forget that near the meatus, this, or actually at the glans penis, the lining becomes stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. No? Now, you may also find here in the penile urethra, this level, this glands. Again, don't forget, these are what we call your Litter's glands or glands of Litter. These are urethral glands that secrete mucus. And in the uncircumcised male, don't forget that the glans penis is covered by foreskin or prepuce. Now, this is a cross-section of your erectile tissue. You'll find here this venous cavernous spaces, which are actually continuous with your central and helicine arteries, as well as with your dorsal veins. No? So that is why when your penis erects, these cavernous spaces become filled with your blood. And of course, that causes the erection. Now, don't forget, erection is actually controlled by your autonomic nervous system. Ayan. Now, regarding the semen, we just like to say that this is a contribution from the secretion of all these glands. This is generally alkaline. Again, don't forget to neutralize the acidity of the vagina. The male ejaculate is around 3 ml and normally contains around 100 million sperm cells. Now, let's look at the qualities of a poor semen quality. No? So we have, of course, oligospermia, which means you have a low ejaculate volume of less than 2 ml. The sperm cell density is less than 10 to 20 million. And you have abnormal sperm morphology. And you have flagellar defects, which of course will impair your sperm motility. Now, the common clinical conditions, I leave it to you. This is actually quite understandable. We already is overtawad na tayo, di ba? Overtime na tayo. So just read it by yourself. It's already enumerated as is. Please note more specifically, no? Ito po, no, regarding the prostate gland. So that takes care of our lecture for today. Sorry for our naputol na period, no? Kasi nga nawala ang aking Wi-Fi. Okay.